But looking good, looking good. Alright, let's get started here in a couple minutes. I'll be right back. Is this thing on? Hey yo, how's it going? It's been so long since we've seen each other, but I'm back. Today we're going to be learning Godot. What's up, Mega? Yeah, I got my chat set up. Owned Pro. Came in clutch. I had tried Stream Elements and I kept trying it and it kept not working. I switched and it worked like that. How's your day going? I had a long day. I'm not gonna do too long of a stream, but probably have a good hour, hour and a half maybe, we'll see. Pretty good, I'm tired. Time to pick up some energy though, and start learning. Where to start? I love Fireship, I'll probably start here.
Godot, a free and open source game engine capable of building high quality 2D and 3D games. It was created in 2007 in Argentina and open sourced in 2014. Like Unity, it provides an editor that allows you to create, visualize, and program the behavior of game objects. However, Godot weighs in at just 35 megabytes while providing a full-featured developer experience that's approachable to beginners. Game code can be written in C#, C++, or a purpose-built language called...
I love that they're open source, nobody owns them. I feel really good about that these days.
GD script. It feels like a cross between TypeScript and Python and dramatically reduces the amount of complexity and boilerplate when coding game scripts. To create a game, you start with a scene, which itself contains a tree of nodes. Nodes are like building blocks that can be assigned as the child of another node to control the appearance and behavior of objects in the scene.
Back up, turn off my music so I can focus.
Tree of nodes. Nodes are like building blocks and dramatic purpose-built language called GD script.
Oh, that's why. He has music in his video. There's a clashing. I was freaking out. Alright.
It feels like a cross between TypeScript and Python and dramatically reduces the amount of complexity and boilerplate when coding game scripts. To create a game, you start with a...
It's funny, I've used both TypeScript and Python, and I don't particularly care for either of them, so I bet I'll go the C# route. I wonder where the limitations are, though,
which itself
on using the C# implementation for Godot.
Contains a tree of nodes. Nodes are like building blocks that can be assigned as the child of another node to control the appearance and behavior of objects in the scene. Any node can have a script attached to it, allowing you to write code that updates the object for every frame in the game loop. You can then save the scene to disk and use it within other scenes. When your awesome game is complete, it can...
I have this other monitor up. It's bothering me.
be exported with a single click to desktop, web, and mobile platforms, or to consoles like Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox that updates the object for every frame in the game loop. You can then save the scene to disk and use it within other scenes. When your awesome game is complete, it can be exported with a single click to desktop, web, and mobile platforms.
Desktop, web, and mobile. That's pretty lit. I mean, that's all I need.
Or to consoles like Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox via third-party providers. To build your own game right now, download it and create a new project. Start with a new 3D scene, then build your own game right now, download it, and create a new project. Start with a new
2D scene, 3D scene, user interface, other node. So we got scene tab, import tab, file system tab, scene tab, inspector, node. I wonder what's different between inspector and node. And then at the top we've got 2D, 3D, script, asset lib. I don't know what those do yet.
New 3D scene, then add a static body node to it, which is ideal for things like walls and floors. On its own, it's invisible, but we can change that by adding a
static body node.
For things like start with a new 3D scene, then add a static body node to it, which is ideal for things like walls and floors. On its own, it's invisible, but we can change that by adding a collision shape node as a child. Choose a shape type on the right side, then modify its actual size by editing the values directly or by dragging the gizmo with the mouse. It's still just a wireframe, but we can bring it to life by also adding a mesh instance node. A mesh is a collection of triangles that make 3D shapes look realistic. We can also make the scene look more realistic by adding a directional light to it, which will cast shadows off of other 3D objects. Now, to add a player to the game, we'll create another scene, this time with a kinematic body as the root, which is ideal.
So Scenes are to Godot what prefabs are to Unity, it seems like.
For objects that you move around with a controller. Give it a collision shape and mesh, then open up the project settings and go to input map. From here we can create labels like then open up for objects that you move around with a controller. Give it a collision shape and mesh, then open up the project settings and go to input map. From here we can create labels like move left and move right.
Project settings input map.
Then map those labels to multiple different controls like keys on a keyboard or buttons on a joypad. And now we can write some code by attaching a script to the root object that moves the player when these inputs are pressed. Create variables with the var keyword with an optional type annotation and export them to make them public in the editor. Now override the process or physics process function to calculate.
I don't think I'm going to use GDScript. I might, but I don't like code that looks like this.
A new position for the player based on the inputs pressed by the user. Now go back to the main scene and add the player scene as a node. Also add a camera for the end user's point of view, click play, and you now have the beginning of a real video. So add a camera that's pressed by the user. Now go back to the main scene and add the player scene as a node.
Add the player scene as a node. Yeah, so it seems like scenes in Godot are just prefabs in Unity, basically.
Also add a camera for the end user's point of view, click play, and you now have the beginning of a real video game. This has been Godot in 100 seconds. Hit the like button for more short videos like this. Thanks for watching.
Everybody should like and subscribe Fireship's videos. They have great videos. Okay. That was very helpful. I wanted to see him add the mesh again.
Type on the right side. You can change that by adding a collision shape.
How did he get into this panel?
It's like walls and floors. Be seen, then add a static body
Hit plus maybe.
node to it.
Oh, spatial. I see. It's the hierarchy within this window. Interesting.
Which is ideal for things like walls and floors. On its own, it's invisible, but we can change that by adding a collision shape node as a child. Choose a shape type on the right side, then modify its actual size by editing the values directly or by...
Okay. Seems legit. Throw some music back on. Godot for Unity.
Hello, ladies
That's what I want.
and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Game From Scratch, and I know right now we have a lot of Unity developers that are taking a first glance at the Godot game engine, and I know change can be a very scary thing, but don't panic. I'm going to actually walk you through an introduction to the Godot game engine for Unity developers, and let's start off with getting Godot. Now, this is about as simple as it gets. There's no need to figure out plans. You don't need to worry about splash screens. It's not the Plus or the Enterprise or the Pro or any of that stuff. There's no royalties to decide. Everything is free and open source. That one makes your decision quite simple because there is no decision. The only thing you need to decide after you go to GodotEngine.org is hit the download, go to your platform of choice, so it's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and then do you want the Godot engine or do you want the Godot engine.net? If you do not know which one to pick, just grab the .net version, because quite frankly, the .net version is a superset of Godot engine. It's just, this one doesn't have the C# support built in, so if you're going to work with C#, just go ahead and grab this guy, and it will automatically download. At that point, we move on to the installation process, which is also very simple. So here is my download. It comes down as a zip file. We go ahead and we extract said zip file out like so, and we have now installed Godot. Realistically, that is it. You've got two versions. You've got a console, so if you want to have like a debug command line with some extra kind of troubleshooting information available, that's here. And then we've got this guy. So we don't really have a Unity launcher per se, but we have like a debug command installed Godot. Realistically, that is it. You've got two versions. You've got a console, so if you want to have like a debug command line with some extra kind of troubleshooting information available, that's here. And then we've got this guy. So we don't really have a Unity launcher per se, but you do have this, which is sort of your project manager of sorts. This This is where you would create a new project, load one, etc. We're going to go ahead and create a new project. Again, this is very simple. Now, if you want to start off with someone else's work, so if you want to explore in another detail, what you may actually want to do is head on over here to the asset library, and you can find tons of examples and sample projects and such to start from. So if you want to say, here's a chess project, for example, you can just start there and work from there. So you can use the asset library to load up projects, but I'm going to go ahead, I'll create a new project. To do this, head on up here, go to new project, and just name your project. So we'll call this don't.
Where's new project? Oh, on the right. I see.
And just name your project. So we'll call this don't panic. And what we're going to do here, we give it a directory. You're going to notice it's using Unix style // here. So I'm going to the temp directory. You can also, of course, do the browse and go to the same folder. Select that folder. So once you have selected your path folder here, then you go ahead and create your project in it. This will create a new project for you. You can decide which renderer you want. If you don't know, you probably want to have a / renderer. But if you're developing a mobile title, this will give you GLES support as opposed to Vulkan support over here.
Whoa, hold on, what did you say?
You can decide which renderer you want. If you don't know, you probably want to have a / renderer. But if you're developing a mobile title, this will give you GLES support as opposed to Vulkan support over here. And then you also have Vulkan. You have a compatibility mode here for an older systems and so on. If you're working on newish hardware, you just want to go with the /. Are you working with Git version control or not? That's the only other decision you're making here. And finally, go ahead and create your project. And that is it. That is project creation. Next time you load up /. Are you working with Git version control or not? That's the only other decision you're making here. And finally, go ahead and create your project. And that is it. That is project creation. Next time you load up Godot, you'll be brought to the same screen so that you can manage your project from that screen. And 1 second. Now, welcome to Godot. Now, there's actually a few more installed details for Godot, so it's not just a single executable, but it's pretty darn close. The next thing you're going to probably want, especially as a Unity developer, you're going to want to import your assets, and your assets are probably in FBX format. So there is one more step here. You're going to notice here, there is the Configure FBX Import. Go ahead and click that link, and now you're going to notice here, there is the Configure FBX Import. Go ahead and click that link, and now you're going to want to go ahead and download this third-party program. See, I already have it installed here, so the path is there, but you can click here, and it will take you to the download page for it, so you can download this extra binary. It's just because this is an open source limitation. The Autodesk make a commercial thing. It can't be shipped with an open source project easily, so that's why there is this extra download process. But basically, just download the linked file there, tell it the path over here, and confirm said path. You will now be able to import FBX files. You did not need to do that, by the way, if you were working with GLTF or OBJ files, etc. And the actual process of importing projects is super simple. We'll get back to that in just a minute. All right, so now you're just first time in the world of the Godot game engine. I'm not going to cover C# programming here, but I did recently do a video on using C# with Visual Studio Code. I will have that linked down below, so if you want to learn more about that. The big thing you're going to want to know when you're dealing with Godot is nodes are king. So when you're used to the world of prefabs, nodes. You're used to game objects, nodes. Scenes, nodes. Everything is nodes, and it gets really familiar quite fast, basically. Here is your more or less your scene graph over here, and you're going to start off. You're going to pick, do I want a 2D scene or 3D scene, or am I creating a UI?
This is my rubber duck. I bought him from a farm, saved him, and we're going to live happily ever after.
Or something else. So I'm going to go ahead, we'll do a simple 2D project here, and you're going to notice I have a single node over here. Over here, this is 2D project here. Am I creating a UI or something else? So I'm going to go ahead, we'll do a simple 2D project here, and you're going to notice I have a single node over here. Over here, this is your assets, basically. So this is your file system implementation. At any particular time, you can right-click here and open up in a new file manager over here. You can also bring assets in here by dragging and dropping them, and that will automatically call the appropriate importer for you. Now, here is your scene graph once again. So what we can do here now with this node selected is I can go ahead and create another node. Now, there are a ton of nodes, and nodes are super important in the world of the Godot development. You're going to find there are nested nodes. For example, Node 2D is the top level hierarchy of all 2D stuff. So if you're working with sprites or animated sprites or tile maps or anything, they are all here under Node 2D. You're going to see they keep growing down. There is inheritance of sorts, so you'll see here this collision object 2D, for example, and area 2D. Area 2D is a physics body 2D, which is a collision object 2D, which is a node 2D. So there is that levels of inheritance that you are used to. So if I want to go ahead and create a node, I could come down here and I could create a sprite 2D node. Now another neat thing you do with the Godot game engine though is I can just pick any appropriate object. So for example here we've got the icon, and I can literally drop it into the scene, and what it'll do is create a node called icon. And what you're going to see right here is we have 3 layers. So we got a base class of node. It inherits canvas item, which inherits node 2D, which inherits sprite 2D. So you've got your inheritance graph over here, and everything is done using this node hierarchy. By the way, you can then do a child node. So if I came in here and I dropped another node in, so we now have 2 nodes in completely separate, like so. But what I could do is I could take this node over here, and I can actually drop it under that node right there, and now it is a hierarchy. So creating hierarchies of nodes, super, super, super simple. Now you may be wondering, okay, how exactly do I code? Where does my game logic go when I'm dealing with the Godot game engine? You're used to adding script components to things. Here, it's a very similar process, to be honest. So here, let me just, I'll get rid of this second one right here. So you can delete nodes anytime you want as well. You basically start off by creating your objects in the world, and then what you do is just attach a script to it. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to right-click this guy, and attach script. Now at this point, depending on which version of Godot you installed, you're going to have GDScript as an option here, but if you grab the .NET version, you'll also have C#. So you want to have a C# script attached to this, you can do so, otherwise GDScript. I would actually recommend starting with GDScript. It's a very simple programming language. You're going to see right here, so it's immediately going to create our script. And you're going to notice over here, I have a little script icon beside my node now. You will also notice attaching the script created a file down here called icon.gd. So this is the actual GDScript extension, and this is just a straightforward text file. You could edit this in Notepad if you so wished, but you don't have to because there is a built-in editor. So click here, there is a script icon over here, and you have your code right here. Now,
that's pretty cool. There's a built-in editor.
I'm not going to get into a ton of details about how code works. The big thing that you're going to want to learn is that everything is node driven. Very important concept to learn here, and that comes down to all of the code that's available. Now, another thing you're going to want to understand coming from a Unity background is where are my callbacks? Where is, on ready, on tick, etc. Well, you're seeing those. Those both are right here. On ready, you override the function ready, and you put your functionality here, and then that will be called the first time this is loaded for the first time. This process is called every frame or every tick. This is basically your on tick functionality right here. It's going to be stubbed in by default. Now, one thing to be aware of, GDScript is a white space based language, so it does care about the tabbing and the spaces and all that stuff. If you work with Python, it's very similar to
I'm not into it.
Python in scope. So we can do something very
Are you into white space languages, Mega?
simple here. For example, I can do a translate, and we're going to do a vector to, you're noticing I'm getting code suggestions for everything. And you also have optional typing, so if you want to know what the print.
Is he going to do any C# or...
Another neat thing that you should be aware of is this thing. Now this
Me too. I need my curly braces.
is all of the various different signals that are available. So if you ever work with a messaging-based system, you're going to recognize this immediately. You can basically say, I want to respond to draw calls. So you want to override how this thing handles its draw calls, you can do them here. If you're doing animation and you're doing sprite frame change, you could do this one here. So what I could do now is basically say, okay, double-click that one, and then I'm going to say how I want to hook it up. So what this is going to do is generate me an on-frame changed method, and then when this event happens, that code will automatically be called. So you're going to notice here, we go back to our code, we now have this new on-frame change. And
I've never used a visual scripting language. That's what that is, right?
and this
pretty cool.
signal setup over here hooks those two things together. This is a very, very powerful system. Now, another thing you may be used to in the world of Godot that isn't going to be, in the world of Unity that isn't going to be immediately available in the world of Godot is prefabs. So how does prefabs work here? Well, I'm going to go back to our earlier example here so we have a bit of a hierarchy. So boom, there I have, so I got some code attached to this guy. I have this other guy built here. What I can actually do is I can right-click this guy at any time, I could say save this branch as a scene, and I'll call this. So I got some code attached to this guy. I have this other guy built here. What I can actually do is I can right-click this guy at any time. I can say save this branch as a scene, and I'll call this my awesome character. Like so, and this will save as a TSCN file. That is the standard Unity way of handling things.
Godot. TSCN, okay.
And you can actually bring those in, like so. So now you've got that full hierarchy available. So we've got now these two, like that. So that is basically how your prefabs go. And you can actually go in then and manipulate them like this, and that will open up the thing. So basically a scene is really just a hierarchy of nodes. So nodes are super, super important. Your prefab.
True. Unity's nested scene implementation was pretty dog, from my experience. As far as like being intuitive, like I think you can do everything you need, but it's not easy. Is how I felt.
System is super, super simple. So you can create this guy. You can make your changes over here. So let's say, you know, further apart, whatever. I could tint this guy, change whatever I want. I'm going to go ahead and save this guy, come back over here, and you can notice, boom, immediate change. Now, another thing to be aware of with Godot, when you first created this guy, I've never saved this scene. So you're going to have a starting scene of some form. So I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I'll call this level 1. So I've saved my scene as level 1. There's obviously code out there, logic for switching between scenes. It's very similar to the way that things are done in the Unity world. Now that my scene is available, you're going to notice down here, I have my character prefab. It's still a scene. They're basically literally just scenes. But the first time you run your project, you have to pick a starting scene. To do that, we can run our project right over here and just say run this project, and it's going to say I don't have a scene selected yet. Or I could also come down here and say run current scene. This will run the scene that is open, and you also have the option here right over here and just say run this project, and it's going to say I don't have a scene selected yet. Or I could also come down here and say run current scene. This will run the scene that is open, and you also have the option here of running a specific scene and then selecting which scene you wish to run. So if I want to go ahead and just run my project, test things out, just click here, click the play icon, and it's going to say, okay, you don't have one. Would you like one? I'll say, yep, and then I pick which scene I want, or I could have selected the current one, and then boom, it is ready to go, and here is my scene. Now remember I put that code in earlier that moves this guy's along. You're going to notice the code applies to the prefabs and all of that stuff as well. You can also code level functionality ever. So say I want to do a Windows export, well, FBX converter, and that was about it. There's a couple other things you probably want to be aware of as well, because there's also over here export. So when you're going to build these for other models, you need to actually bring in other methods. So if you want to go ahead, say, and I want to export an executable for Android or Mac OS or whatever, so say I want to do a Windows export, I come up here and we can bring it in there, and you can manage your export templates here. So you can pick which ones you want, where you want them from, and you can download them here. So there is an additional download involved for each platform that's needed, but you only need that once you start wanting to actually build your executable. So do be aware, there are a couple more downloads for Godot, but I think if you can download the entire thing, it's still only about 1 gigabyte in size. The last thing I'm going to really cover over today is assets. So let me go find an asset, and I'll show you how the import process works. Okay, so I went through a quick previous Humble Bundle purchase. I found the Hearst kit from Cinti low polygon stuff. It seems like an appropriate choice. So you see here, we got a variety of different assets in here. An individual OBJ file, some image files. I'll just bring a single image file in to show you the process. So I'll just literally drag, drop. It will automatically run the importer. It'll recognize what kind of image it is, like so, and import it in. So now it is ready to go. You can literally just drop it into the scene and use it accordingly. By the way, there is full undo, which is what you just saw me do. When an object is brought in as well, you can control how it is imported. You're going to notice there's this other tab over here called Import. And now what you can do is control exactly how that file should be handled. So for example, if you wanted to bring it in as lossless or lossy or various different compression formats, you have those options available there. You could have it generate MIP maps for you automatically, have it HDR, etc. So if you want to
Godot seems pretty lit,
fine-tune
and
control
I think
how
they're
it's
still
brought
working on making it better. How long has it? When did he said it in the video? Can I remember it? Was it 2007? Yeah, let's go. Wow. So, 16 years. Nailed it.
In, go to the import tab, and then just simply select re-import. By the way, any one of these tabs can be dragged and dropped and moved around. If you want to change the default up, you can do that at any time. Fully customizable interface. So you can probably make it similar to something that you are already used to. So that is the straightforward import process for a simple asset. You can also do
Nailed it.
things into folders. So right over up to import on move, but I can actually take the whole image tree or the hearse. You could also go changes and re-import the directory, including imported we looked at earlier, and we'll give it a new scene, and we're going to create a 3D scene instead. And really, that's the only difference. Your root node is a node 3D navigation. And it automatically creates it actually as a scene hierarchy. So you're going to see here, boom, there it brought button to orbit 2D and instead before I conclude this. Now we're dealing with 3D objects instead of 2D objects here. So in our scene, we've got this guy here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to create a new scene, and we're going to create a 3D scene instead. Okay. And really, that's the only difference. Your root node is a node 3D instead of a node
2D scene in a 3D
2D. And now you're working in a traditional 3D editor. You can use the right mouse button to orbit left and right. You can hold down the WASD.
Godot seems pretty freaking lit.
Keys to.
I'm excited. At first, I was not excited. I mean, I know it's a lot more limited than Unity, but over time, I think it'll get better, and it'll always be open source, and it seems pretty cool.
To navigate around the scene, your scroll wheel does exactly what you would expect it to. It is pretty straightforward to do.
See how the C# implementation is.
3D navigation here. So now that we've got this scene right here, we can go ahead and grab one of these assets. One second. Okay, I'm a bit of an idiot. I put hearses inside of my images. My bad. Okay, so everything should have been brought in. You'll notice here all of my textures are brought in. Our FBX files are brought in, and it automatically creates it actually as a scene hierarchy. So you're going to see here, boom, there it brought in. You can see how it works. And you could go ahead, and if you want to do a re-import, you can do a re-import here. You have...
All right, I don't need to know 3D yet. I can compartmentalize that. I'm going to make mine 2D. Keep it simple. For now. Cool.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Game From Scratch, and a few days back I did a video about the new C# Dev Kit tools for Visual Studio Code. I had a couple questions.
I'm happy I got you excited, man. I'm getting excited as well. C# or GDScript with Godot. Why bother? C# is better than GDScript, but...
GDScript is the obvious choice for scripting in Godot, right? Well, it's not really that simple. Stick around, because we're going to uncover the truth behind this whole debate, and the results may surprise you. But first, we really should address the elephant in the room. How you doing today, Ed?
Well, Jolene brought fish for lunch again. Now the whole damn break room smells like an old dock worker's boot, and the stench is starting to creep its way into the office. That's how I'm fucking doing.
That's funny.
Let's talk about some of the differences in these high-level languages. So C#'s been around for a really long time to learn. Text G# only to iterate and modify it. It looks like C# is about 20 times faster than GDScript for this. It's worth noting, though, that GDScript has a shuffle function that will match the performance of C# in this case, but it does so by moving the iteration. It's worth noting, all unfair, that isn't questions that GDScript's losing again, being stacked D scripts. And why?
Conclusion, please.
Use doing detailing rather than let the objects handle that themselves.
I wonder if there's a good tweening library for Godot. I'll have to look that up soon when I start doing motion. Unless I want to just code it myself, but I don't really want to.
It comes out ahead. But we've effectively doubled our FPS using...
I guess I should. I should probably try to make a tweening. I don't know. We'll see.
The same logic in C#. We're just doing it all with a single script. So which language should you use? It doesn't matter. It's more important that you understand the limitations of the language.
Thanks.
Hey everybody, welcome to the channel with a very important
I have more
Okay, I think I'm
So
maybe
just-
overthinking this. Maybe, first of all, let's add a window capture for Godot. Throw that down there. And then, maybe I can just flip and do it. Don't save. Okay, 2D. New 2D scene. Let's make a node for... No, let's add the thing and make it move. Let's do that. Doo-doo-doo. Alright. Save scene. Test move scene. Oh, it may be built in? Tweening library? That's super sweet. Sick. Wow. Once again, go Godot. I'm excited, dude. Unity is of the past. Hey, what's up, lad? Welcome to the chat. Thanks for coming through. How you doing tonight? Me and Mega are learning how to use Godot because of all the drama with Unity Engine. It looks pretty cool.
leave it at whatever the normal settings were when this window.
Alright. I want to make this thing move. Move for me. Good, chillin'. How did he add this script? Attach script. Move. Test. Move script. C#. Okay. Easy peasy. Ready. Process. How do I access my transform? Found a script. Boop. And then I have to add a node or sprite, name player, attach player script, edit the script. Script uses kinematic body 2D. Using the move left and move right. Project settings. Okay. In the project settings window, input map. Input map. Input map. There we go. And where were we? Move left to move right. Oh, my pop-ups don't show up? Thanks. I might as well fix it, right? Let's see. Boop. There we go. Thanks, Mega. You the plug. Alright, assign keys or buttons per your preference. Where do you assign the action? I don't understand. Plus. keyboard keys, right. We're doing left first. Okay. Sick. Plus keyboard keys. Alright. Sweet. And save settings, go back, node input. Save. So I need to go back to my node, and it said something about select player, go to the node tab under input, add move left, node tab, input. Okay. Select the player node in the inspector, and in the inspector panel, go to the node tab. There we go. Confused. Let's go to the node tab. Under input, add move left, move right. But I don't see input in the node tab. Confused. Can look it up.
Check. Accordance perfect by and agent shot for some yours up one zero and it remains against info therapy and rack no values or to spit of being for here along with the export keyword and now testing for new position and semi-line along with the export can see here value of a
so I'll make a new child. See this, and we'll make it a bit bigger. Should do. We'll rename the scene to player and save it in a new folder called player. And we should have all the basic stuff set up, and we are ready to code. So, creating new script to the player. Create, and it will give you a bunch of default code for creating a platformer script. We don't need any of this, so just delete. Create what we called input e-axis friction function. Density equals be multiplying the axis that we placed in the world, and we properly we can move.
Oh, that's not helpful.
Types of events you usually enter to all of those, and then all the GUI input of all the GUI, and then all the unhandled input. So okay, so and this guy shouldn't move at all because the check just here, scene tree, but the just on GUI one. I put a link. Button does this move to the global position of the button event. Then
I don't understand. It's like go to the node tab under the inspector and add the inputs. Good question, Mega. No main scene has ever been defined. Select one, you can select current. Good question. It might already just work. Maybe I don't need to do the extra step. Failed build. No suitable method found to override for physics process. Okay, what if we switch it back to what it was before? Process. single method to override process? Oh, I don't need to override. But yeah, I do. It was already here, override. Oh, double. Still failed. Okay, I guess ChatGPT sucks at writing code for this, sure. Oh, right, it's a sprite, not kinematic body. There. Okay. This is confusing. Thank you, Mega. It's time to code. We're going to use input actions, right click the player, attach script. You the plug, Bausch. No, I don't need a camera for TV. Alright, let's start from the top. Thanks for the doc, Mega. Right click on the player node. Make a new player node. Attach script. Ah, this is where I needed to, right? Kinematic. No, character body. We're doing 2D. I wonder if this works. So then I also need to create a new scene. No, because I was in 2D. I'm stupid. So maybe I just play. guys test motion. One day we'll get this project to run. Player already contains a definition for speed. This is a partial class players. Why is this still here? I thought I got killed that. Okay, can you die? Please, thank you. Try it again. Oh! Ah. Right. 2D. Right, no Z. So we need X and Y. Wait, this is 3D. Why is maybe they have a 2D? Yeah, duh. Dude. Yeah, I should get a demo project. That'd be smart. That would be smart. Figure out where that was. I think at the launcher, right? There's no shortcut for it. Interesting. Okay, let's move here then. I want to follow this tutorial. Thanks for the link, Mega, again. This looks good. I'm pretty tired though, so maybe I'll just play around with art for a couple minutes or something before I get off. Brain's pretty fried. Yeah, let's do that. Sweet. Finish up this tutorial soon, but maybe tomorrow. It looks pretty sweet. Piggy. What's up, dude? What's up? You wanna say hi to stream? It's one of my dogs. Piggy. Piggy. What's up, buddy? Sit. Oh, that's a good boy. What a good dog. Yeah. You're a good boy. Very nice. Dog champs. Where should I draw, Mega? You call it, I draw it. My music stopped. Plant Wizard, I'm with it. Will do.
「君の
muscle. Muscle in the form. We're getting there.
Once 君を開けいつか信じたいでもねうまく笑えないバカみたい騙し合い Live 続けるのもう許さないPast 君をそうそばに感じてたいいわあれも過ぎたことバカみたい騙し合い Live 続けるのもう許さないVoice 君の
What do we think so far?
騙されたふりはとても疲れるの消してしまいたい
Wonder what happens if I do this. Oh. Damn wide. Sweet. You're a little wide. I'd like you to be skinnier, boy. Take some meat off those bones. Thanks. Trying to flex my creativity muscles so they don't wear out. I don't really know where to go with it. I gotta pee. Near the end. Wish I had green for the plant. I don't know if I do. Oh, it's lit. Yeah. Getting black in it. It's horrible, but I'm happy with it. Mega says, what's your role at work? What kind of stuff do you work on? So, for the last year, I fixed my camera. Thanks. For the last year, it didn't work. Last year-ish, I've been working at Wildlife, and Wildlife has 8 or 9 internal remote studios all across the world. So my studio is like 14-ish people right now, and we are spread across several countries, mostly Brazil, US, and Canada. And we are working on mobile games. Right now we're working on a mobile game that's going to be releasing globally in Q1 or Q2 of next year. So I can't say much about it yet. I wish I could. But it's a free-to-play mobile game that we did 8 alphas already. We're in beta. We're not beta. We're entering soft launch pretty soon here. And my role is... sorry, I was stretching. My role is Senior Gameplay Engineer. It's my title. What I do is set up the... trying to think about how to say it without revealing the game. I'm like a client-side game dev, so we have a server and a bunch of server guys, and I just make local gameplay basically in Unity. That was a long-winded explanation, sorry. Thanks. I really like it. I'm tired of working for somebody, but as far as jobs go, it's really, really good, and I'm happy I finally got here. Before this, I was making slot machines, which was cool, and I learned a lot, but not for me either, so I'm happy. I'm getting closer to what I like to do. What I like to do the most, I think, is to make arcade-style games that are really, really easy to learn and really, really hard to master and get good at. And typically, I like games with high scores. Yeah. One day, my dream would be to just have a garage and just work on like games and arcade cabinets whenever I feel like. I want to make custom cabinets with custom games on them, just for fun. That's the dream. We'll get there. Non-profit to make games would be cool. I would love to make games. I'm planning on, part of my stream is I'm gonna work on games that are non-profit, and I just donate all the. They'll be for sale, and I'll just donate all the proceeds. That'd be really cool. It's something I want to do too. Mega says he could offer his games for free, and one of the ideas for revenue is to host an arcade space. That'd be super cool. I love arcades. I hope they don't die out. I like going to the arcade. I like arcade games. I like my dog. I gotta pee. And go make dinner. So, yeah. Shut out the stream now. It's been great. Thanks for hanging out the whole time, Mega. You're the man. Thanks for anybody else who hopped in and watched. And make sure to come back. We're gonna be working on the JumpShip Game Jam some more soon. Alright. Adios. See you next time. Bye. Have a good night. Go hydrate. Drink some water. Take care, Mega. Thanks.